Good morning. I'm Bill Wellman. I'm the Region 5 Vice President for Trout Unlimited for the New York State Council of Trout Unlimited and a member of the Lake Champlain chapter of Trout Unlimited here in Plattsburgh. This morning we're going to talk a little about lamprey, the lamprey problem in Lake Champlain, and some of the efforts that people are taking to control those vicious predators. Lamprey are a very interesting fish, prehistoric in nature, and there are about 4 kinds in northern New York. There are about 36 species, I guess, worldwide. But sea lamprey are the problem. Sea lamprey live in the ocean. They're androgynous. They can live in both freshwater and in salt water. They have no bones. Their structure is cartilaginous in nature. They have a mouth that has no jaw bones, and their mouth is a circular disc lined with teeth, with a tongue that also is like a file. They have a life cycle that begins from egg, where a female will lay about 80 to 100,000 eggs at one time in the spring. They're spring spawners. Those eggs will drift down into mucky areas, where they will stay from 2 to 6 years as amosets. And these are eyeless, mouthless, water filter kind of animals. And they get up to about 6 inches long, and at the time they become more mature, they transform. And they transform by developing eyes, developing the rasp-like mouth, and getting ready to go out into Lake Champlain and find a host fish to attack. And their favorite host fish is a salmon or a trout. And why is that? Because salmon and trout have thin layers of scales and thin skins. So they are the preferred prey for lamprey. And lamprey are now controlled by several methods. And they do that by applying lampricide to the stream. There are 2 types of lampricide, but they are an insecticide, a pesticide, a poison. And they're put in the stream and very carefully monitored, and does not kill lamprey, but it kills the amosets, the things that are living in the muck in the streams.
My name is Tim Myhook. I'm director of the Lake Champlain Research Institute here at SUNY Plattsburgh. And I've had a graduate student that's worked on the impacts of chemical treatment for lamprey on stream communities. And I'm also involved in the work group for Lake Champlain to look at alternatives to chemical treatment. Alternatives being barriers, anything other than putting chemicals in streams to kill off and control lamprey in Lake Champlain. Yeah, alternative efforts include any number of things. They include simple things such as barriers, low head barriers on streams. What lamprey do is they spend most of their life cycle out in the lake feeding as adults on fish in the lake. But to reproduce, lamprey need to go up a stream. So they need to go find a stream and they need to lay their eggs, and then they'll actually live for 2 to 3 years in the stream. So where we block their life cycle to essentially control them is in the streams. We treat them when they go to reproduce in streams. So if we put barriers in streams, we'll prevent adult lamprey from getting to their spawning grounds, and the populations will decline. Well, the main reason is lamprey is a main predator on some of our important commercial fish, salmon, trout, including bass and others. Lamprey are very important. They're a parasitic predator, so they get on the side of the fish. They basically, if you get lamprey populations that are too high, you can have really serious populations with mortality on lake trout, Atlantic salmon, and other fish in the lake. Well, in sport fishing, we're trying to catch the lake trout and Atlantic salmon and other fishes in Lake Champlain, where there's a sport fishing economy and a community built around that. Essentially, lamprey are competing with us for those fish. They're not doing it with, hook and line. They're not doing it like we are by angling. But lamprey are still taking out a certain proportion of that population through their predation. So we're competitors with lamprey for lake trout and salmon. this is the main reason why there's control efforts on lamprey populations, is so to keep the fish out there for the angling community.